Today we will discuss a general topic instead of discussing the topic on history. Tomorrow we will discuss the topic of history, right? So I thought today's topic is very much important in the wake of this COVID-19 pandemic, which is you can say threatening the entire world, and the entire world is suffering from this COVID-19 pandemic, right? So in that context, the topic we will discuss today, that is Epidemics and Epidemic Diseases Act of India, right? So we are going to discuss this because according to my opinion, this is a very important topic of the coming examinations, right? For the coming examinations. So epidemics and Epidemic Diseases Act, right? India, right? So of India, you can say, right? So according to me, this is an important topic, right? So first of all, we will discuss about the epidemics, right? And then we will, after discussing some epidemics of the past, then we will shift on to the discussion about the Epidemic Diseases Act of India, right? Which was enacted in the year 1897 during the British period, right? So we have very, you can say, old law to deal with the epidemics, right? So we know that there may be some infectious diseases, right? Everybody knows that there may be some infectious diseases, right? So infectious diseases are those diseases which are caused by some, you can say, bacteria, virus, right? You can say fungi or some other microorganism, right? So उन diseases को हम infectious diseases कहते हैं, right? So as far as the infectious diseases are concerned, so we can categorize the infectious diseases into three, right? We can categorize the infectious diseases into three parts, right? So that is the So I think we have not discussed this topic earlier, na?
नहीं सर एक बार मलेरिया ਦਾ ਹੀ ਕੀਤਾ ਸੀ ਆਪਾਂ ਕਾਫੀ ਦੇਰ ਹੋ ਗਈ ਇਹ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ
Okay. So infectious diseases can be categorized into three. One is known as the endemic, right? And second can be said that that is the epidemic. Right? Second is epidemic, right? And we can say third category, that is the pandemic, right? कोई नाराज तो नहीं कि सारे डिजीजेस पढ़ाने लग गए? पक्का? मुझे लग रहा है किसी न किसी को नाराजगी है आज।
नहीं सर करवाओ जी, हाँ ये तो बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट है जी।
अपने आप ही बता दो किसको है, मुझे पता चल जाता है। So endemic, epidemic and pandemic, right? It can be categorized into three, right? So firstly, let me discuss that what is endemic, what is pandemic, and what is epidemic, right? Let me discuss about this, right? So let's suppose this is a region, this is a geographical region, let's suppose, right? One geographical region. And let's suppose this is, you can say, some other geographical region. Let's suppose, right? And let's suppose this is, you can say, some other, you can say, geographical region of its of a little different type, right? Let's suppose this is another geographical region, right? So for an example, let's suppose there is some disease A, right? There is some disease A, right? The disease A, we can say, let's suppose is present in this region, right? Disease A, let's suppose, is present in this region. इसी region में है disease A, right? And you can say, and it is prevailing almost at a constant rate, and it is prevailing almost at a constant rate, right? Constant rate or constant level, you can say constant level, it is constant level, right? So then this disease, which is prevailing only in one region and is prevailing there at a constant level, so such a type of disease is called the endemic disease. We will say this disease is endemic to this region, right? Endemic disease. So endemic disease, right? So we will say that this disease is endemic to this region only, right? For example, we can take the example of malaria, right? Malaria is a disease, right, which is chronically present in Africa and is prevailing at almost a constant level, right? So we can say that malaria is endemic to Africa. So this is called the endemic disease, right? So endemic disease is one disease which prevails in some particular region, right? And it prevails there at a constant level. So that disease will be known as the endemic disease. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes sir, but malaria sir ਹੋਰ ਵੀ ਕਿਤੇ ਹਰ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਹੀ ਹੈ ਤਾਂ ਫਿਰ ਆਪਾਂ ਇਹਨੂੰ endemic ਫਿਰ ਵੀ ਕਵਾਂਗੇ?
Yes, this is called endemic to Africa because it is prevailing there at a constant level, right? So next is you can say, because it does not fall in the category of, you can say, epidemic, right? The next is epidemic, right? So we can say, let's suppose there is another disease. Let us say B is another disease, right? B is another disease, right? So this disease, let's suppose, started from a particular area in this continent, let's suppose, or in this country, right? Started from a particular area, right? And then this disease, you can say, spreads at a very fast rate, right? Spreads at a very fast rate spreads at a, you can say, very fast rate, right? Spreads at a very fast rate to a large number of population, to a large number of people in a given population, or society or country or state, right? So you can say such a disease will be called an epidemic, right? So we can say such a disease is called epidemic, right? So epidemic disease means epidemic is such a disease, right, which started from a particular region, right? In particular region, in particular country, in particular state, in particular society, we can say, right? And it spread very rapidly to affect a large number of individuals in that particular population, in that particular society. So that is known as the epidemic, right? So as far as the malaria is concerned, right? So spread of malaria is not that fast, right? We can say. So such a type of disease is known as epidemic. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So the next thing which we will take, right? Let's suppose there is another disease which is C, right? Let's suppose there is another disease which is C, right? So suppose this disease is a infectious disease, communicable disease, we can say, right? Let's suppose C is is an infectious, right, oblique communicable disease, right, oblique communicable disease. So ये एक ऐसी disease है जो infectious है, communicable disease है, right? And you can say it started from this particular place, right? It started from this particular place, right? And you can say, and it spread very fast rate or very fastly to, we can say, very fastly to, we can say, other continents or countries, right? It spread to this continent, it spread to this continent, right? So it spreads very fastly to other continents, to other regions of the world, right? And such a disease is known as the, we can say, pandemic disease, right? Pandemic disease. So this is known as the pandemic disease. Is it clear that what is epidemic, what is endemic, and what is, you can say, pandemic? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So this is there, right? So epidemic का मीनिंग आपको क्लियर है, एंडेमिक का क्लियर है, एंड पेंडेमिक का मीनिंग आपको क्लियर है, राइट? सो नाउ let's suppose what type of question can be asked to you, right? So question is which of the following criteria, I am giving you one question, this is an important question, which of the following criteria, right, are used to determine, right, whether a disease, right, is epidemic or pandemic, right? कौन सा क्राइटेरिया है जो हम यूज करते हैं ये देखने के लिए कि whether a disease is epidemic or pandemic, right? So ये है, so I'm giving some statements here, number one, right? We can see the first criteria is rate of spread of disease. Rate of spread of disease. Number two हो गया the distance of spread of disease. Distance of spread of disease, right? And number three हम ले रहे हैं severity of the disease. Severity of the disease, and here are the codes, let's suppose, right? So first choice is 2 only, right? And let's suppose the second choice here is 1 and 2 only, right? And suppose the third choice here is 1 and 3 only, right? And the fourth choice, let's suppose here is 1, 2 and 3. 1, 2 and 3, right? So what can be the correct answer? What is the correct answer in this case? Tell me. Tell me.
1 and 2.
1 and 2, okay. ये निशांत का आंसर है.
जी सर.
Okay, anybody else?
1 and 2, sir.
1 and 2, okay. Anybody else? Simran?
ਸਰ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਤਾਂ ਤਿੰਨੋਂ ਹੀ ਲੱਗਦੇ, ਵੈਸੇ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਤਾਂ 1 and 2 ਹੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ.
Okay.
1 and 2 ਹੀ ਹੈ ਸਰ.
Okay, Paramjit? Okay, so the correct answer is 1 and 2. The correct answer is 1 and 2, right? So it means, right? So it should be clear to you that that you can say whether a disease is pandemic or a disease is epidemic, right? It does not have any concern with the degree of severity, right? So it is only the two criteria on the basis of which it is determined whether a disease is pandemic or a disease is epidemic. One is rate of spread of disease, second is the distance of spread of disease, right? So rate of spread of disease is common in both. Common in both means whether it is pandemic or it is epidemic, right? The rate of spread of disease is common, right? And as far as the distance of spread is concerned, right? So here it makes the, we can say, difference, right? If the distance of spread is you can say local, in very short region, in very short area, right? Small area, then we can say that disease is, we can say, epidemic, right? Right? And if it is spreading worldwide over a very large distance, so then we declare that it is a pandemic. Okay? So this is it, right? So you should bear this in mind. Such type of question can be asked because आज के दिनों में COVID-19 की वजह से ऐसे questions important हो जाते हैं, right? So the next question, which is very usual question, right? Who you can say declares a disease pandemic? Who declares a disease pandemic? कौन किसी disease को pandemic declare करता है? It is the World Health Organization that declares a disease pandemic or epidemic, right? So we can say it is the World Health Organization that declares a disease pandemic, right? Even epidemic तो country की government भी कर सकती है. It is the World Health Organization that declares a disease pandemic, right? Pandemic means it is spreading across the borders, right? That is why. And epidemic can be, let's suppose, right? Some disease has started from the Manipur, right? And it is spreading in India, right? At a very faster rate, right? So though we can say it has not crossed yet the borders of the country. So in that case, right? Government of India can invoke the, you can say, Epidemic Diseases Act, yeah, right, in a particular region or in the whole country, right, to manage the spread of this disease, right, to control the spread of such a disease. So it means pandemic is declared by the WHO, right? So that is there. Okay. So it means when a disease shows tendency of exponential growth, right? Then World Bank, then WHO declares a disease, right? Pandemic disease, right? So it is declared when a disease shows tendency of we can say exponential growth, right? Exponential growth. So then it is declared pandemic by the WHO. Is it okay up to this point? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Nishank, are you okay today?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You seem silent today.
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay.
When a
So,
disease shows tendency of,
pardon?
sir, please repeat. Karna, when a disease
Huh.
shows tendency of,
Then when a disease shows tendency of the exponential growth, right? Exponential growth. So the next is, we can say, first we will discuss instances of pandemics or epidemics in the past, right? In the past. So through this also we will know certain points, certain things for your examination. So that is why I'm going to discuss it here, right? So the first point, the first is with that is we can say right, you can say disease of yeah, epidemic of prehistoric period, right? Epidemic of prehistoric period, right? So this is important, right? So this epidemic of prehistoric period, right? So that was occurred in, you can say, northeastern China. That occurred in northeastern China, right? Occurred in eastern China, right? So this disease, you can say wiped out. This disease wiped out entire village in that region, right, at that time. So this disease wiped out entire village there, right? So the archaeological site from which we got this information, right, or where this happened, right? The archaeological, we can say, right, the archaeological site, right, where this happened, we can say, is called, right, is called Hamin, Hamin Mangha. Hamin Mangha. So it's the site where the prehistoric epidemic has occurred, right? Hamin Mangha, right? So there, what is seen that a number of dead individuals, a number of dead people, right? You can say were stuffed inside a house, stuffed inside a house, and were burnt, right? So from there, the archaeologists have, from that study, they have, you can say, estimated that, guessed that there might an epidemic had occurred in the past, right? So this is the one point. And the second important is, right, the second important is, we can say, that is here, the plague of Athens, right? Plague of Athens, right? So this is the another important, you can say, another disease of that time, plague of Athens, right? So plague of Athens, we can say, occurred around 430 BC, right? Occurred around 430 BC, and it lasted for about 5 years. Right? And killed about 1 lakh people. Right? Approximately 1 lakh people were killed by this disease, right? Plague of Athens. So this occurred in the, you can say, right, ancient history, we can say, right? So this is there. So next comes, we can say, right? Next comes the, we can say, Antonine plague, right? So as far as this Antonine plague is concerned, right? So the period of occurrence of this disease, so occurred, you can say, around 165 to 180 AD, right? 180 AD, right? So it killed approximately 5 million people. 5 million people, right, in the Roman Empire, right? What is the number of deaths so far from COVID-19? Does anybody know? Estimate. It was perhaps smallpox, right? ये जो एंटोनाइन प्लेग थी रोमन एम्पायर में, ये perhaps स्मॉलपॉक्स की वजह से थी, राइट? अब तक कितनी डेथ्स हो गई हैं कोविड-19 से, किसी को मालूम है? Does anybody know?
Sir, around 18 lakh. नहीं, death. Sorry, sir.
Okay. चलो बेटा, try to find it, right? So, थोड़ा थोड़ा कभी देख लिया करो बेटा, ये भी statistics, ठीक है? हमारे human beings मर रहे हैं, है ना? So we should know that what is the intensity of the problem, right? So you must, you can say, keep a regular, you can say, right, eye on this. So it was perhaps a smallpox, which was the reason of this plague, right? So we can say smallpox is a viral disease. Do you know smallpox is a viral disease? Smallpox is a viral disease which is caused by two virus variants. Right? Two virus variants. So ऐसे क्वेश्चन इंपॉर्टेंट होते हैं, पूछ लिए जाते हैं. right? So one virus variant is known as the variola major, right? And the other is known as the variola minor, right? So variola minor. So we can say it is the variola virus, right? That causes the smallpox. So bear this in mind, right? Because it is the time of pandemic, epidemic. So that is why such questions can be asked to you, right? So because it is expected from a literate person, that educated person, that person should know about these things, right? Next is plague of Siberian. You can say plague of Cyprian, Siberian, right? So this is another epidemic, we can say, which happened, right? So this occurred, you can say, occurred around 250 to 271 AD. So this was the time when this disease occurred, right? So approximately 5,000 individuals were killed in a day, right? Were killed in a day. So you need not to remember this particular statistics, how many deaths occurred, right? You only need to remember that where did it happen, right? So that is basically important for your examination, right? So the next thing is which is there. We say it. You can say plague of Justinian, Justinian, right? Plague of Justinian. Okay. So this plague of Justinian beta happened in the area which is known as the present Turkey region. It is that region where did it happen, right? So we can say occurred, right? Occurred around 541 and 542 AD. So this was the time of occurrence of this disease, right? So it killed approximately 10% of the world's population. 10% of the world's population, right? World's population. It means 1 in every 10 persons was killed by this disease, right? So very huge, you can say, number. Very severe disease. 10% of the population was killed, right? So Justinian is named after, right? Justinian is named after the emperor of the empire, right? Emperor of the empire called we can say, right, Byzantine, right? This is the Eastern Roman Empire. It is known as that, right? Byzantine, right? So there is one more important thing that Justinian, right? Justinian was the king or emperor, right? King who built a church, known as you can say Hagia Sophia. Hagia Sophia, right? So इसके बारे में किसी ने सुना है अभी Hagia Sophia के बारे में?
ਸਰ ਪਿੱਛੇ ਕਾਫੀ ਨਿਊਜ਼ ਵੀ ਸੀਗੀ, ਤੁਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਕੁਐਸਚਨ ਵੀ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀਗਾ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ
Right.
ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਇਹ
ਹਾਂਜੀ ਹਾਂ
ਮੋਸਕਿਓ ਬਣਾਇਆ
ਸੁਣਿਆ
ਗਿਆ
ਸਰ
Right.
ਇਹਨੂੰ
So
ਹੈਰੀਟੇਜ ਸਾਈਟ
Heritage,
ਲੈਣ ਵਾਸਤੇ ਹਾਂਜੀ
okay. So beta, first thing, this is in Turkey. You must bear in mind, right? This is in Turkey, and recently it has been converted into a mosque, converted into a mosque, right, by the government of Turkey, right? So it was built, right? It was built at Constantinople, right? So which is today known as Istanbul, right? So at present it is known as Istanbul, right? Istanbul. So beta bear this in mind, right? So this question is important that ये क्या है, right? कहाँ है, इसको किसने बनाया था, right? जस्टिनियन ने बनाया था, right? कौन से एरिया में है, इस्तांबुल में है, टर्की में, राइट? रिसेंटली क्या हुआ है इसका, रिसेंटली ये न्यूज में इसलिए रही बिकॉज द टर्की गवर्नमेंट हैज कन्वर्टेड इट इनटू ए मॉस्क, राइट? Converted it into mosque. So you should be at this in mind, right? So these are small things which we discussed during our lecture, right? So is it okay? Should I move ahead? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
सर कॉन्स्टेंटिनोपल तो सर वैसे भी बहुत फेमस है सर, क्योंकि वहीं से मॉडर्न वर्ल्ड हिस्ट्री शुरू होती है.
Yes, beta. So this is there. So now beta, the next is called the Black Death. Right? Next is the Black Death, which is there. So ये मैं आपको नोइंगली करवा रहा हूँ बेटा, क्योंकि ना ये करते करते मतलब हम बहुत चीजें ऐसे साइड पे कर लेते हैं. So that is why we are discussing all these things, right? So Black Death. So beta, as far as Black Death is concerned, right? So it occurred, we can say, between 1346 to 1353 AD, right? So that was the time when it occurred, right? You can say it is said to have traveled from Asia to Europe, right? It is said to have traveled from Asia to, we can say, Europe, right? So perhaps it wiped out half of Europe's population, right? Perhaps it wiped out half of Europe's population at that time, right? So we can say it was spread by we can say infected fleas or rodents, चूहों से spread हुई थी, rodents, right? So it was a bacterial disease. Caused by bacterium. The name of the bacteria was, right, the bacteria that caused this you can say Black Death disease, right? That bacteria was known as the, you can say, Yersinia pestis, Yersinia, right? SINI, right? Yersinia pestis, EESTIS, right? Yes, Yersinia pestis was its name, right? Yersinia pestis, right? And the important thing is that dead, you can say, right? So important thing is that we can say it has become extinct now. ये बैक्टीरिया आज नहीं मिलता. It has become extinct now, right? Extinct now. क्योंकि Black Death काफी important है, so can be asked whether it was a bacterial disease or a viral disease, right? Because during the COVID-19, such type of diseases have been highlighted, right? So that is why the question can be asked on such things also. So now let us move ahead. Right? So the next thing is that which we are discussing here, right? So that is known as, we can say, Coco Litzli, COCOLITZLI, right? Coco Litzli, right? ZLI, epidemic. Coco Litzli epidemic. So this is the next epidemic, right? Disease. So now the point is that, right? So ये disease कहाँ हुई, right? So as far as the occurrence of disease is concerned, we will say that this disease occurred between 1545 till 1548. So between this period, this disease occurred, right? So it killed approximately, right, 15 million people. 15 million people. 15 million people in Mexico. In Mexico and Central America. In Central America. Killed so many people. Central America. Right? So we can say earlier it was thought a viral disease. A viral disease, right? But the recent studies of the DNA of skeletons of individuals affected by the disease suggest that the disease was a bacterial disease caused by we can say, right, Salmonella bacteria, right? Salmonella bacteria, right? So Salmonella is particularly responsible for, right, you can say diarrhea, etc. Right? So these type of problems happen due to this. So Salmonella bacteria, right, caused this, right? So this has been revealed by the DNA study of the skeletons of that period. So let us move ahead. Next is the American plague. American plague. So as far as this American plague is concerned, so as the name suggests, right? So this affected mainly the American region, right? So this disease, we can say, occurred in the 16th century. First of all, occurred in 16th century. right, occurred in 16th century. It was a cluster of diseases, right, that were brought to America, right, brought to America from Eurasia, right. Eurasian people when went there, they carried this disease to America, to Eurasia, right. So according to an estimate, the disease, right, this disease killed about 90% of the indigenous people of Western Hemisphere. Right? So, beta, you must be knowing about the Western Hemisphere, because if somebody is new and does not know, then let me tell it. This is the Earth, this is globe, we can say, right? And if we draw a line, this is called the 0-degree meridian, right? So, इसको हम क्या कहते हैं? This is the 0-degree meridian. Right? This is called the 0-degree meridian, right? And this line is known as the Greenwich meridian also, because it passes through Greenwich, right? A place near London, right? इसको हम Greenwich meridian भी कहते हैं, right? So we can say the area or the territory which is towards this side of the Greenwich meridian. This is called the Eastern Hemisphere, right? This is called the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Right? And the area which is towards this side of the this line, this is called the Western Hemisphere, right? This is called the Western Hemisphere, right? So we can say, as far as you can say for your knowledge is concerned, this Greenwich meridian runs through the Atlantic Ocean, right? Atlantic Ocean, we can say, right? Near, you can say London is very close to this Greenwich meridian, right? And so we can say that Asia is in the Eastern Hemisphere, Europe almost in the Eastern Hemisphere, Africa also in the Eastern Hemisphere, right? Australia also in the Eastern Hemisphere, we can say, right? So if we say that the next, right? We can say the North America, Central America, right? North America, Central America, and South America. These are the countries which mainly, right, which mainly fall in this, we can say, the Western Hemisphere, right? So this disease wiped about 90% of the indigenous people of Western Hemisphere, right? So then we can say, what was the consequence of this issue, right? What was the you can say consequence of this? You can say loss of such a huge indigenous population of that area, right? So we can say that the disease, the consequence was that the disease helped, right? Helped, we can say, the occupation of Americas, by European nations, right, by European nations, right, like Spain, right? Spain, we can say France, right? We can say UK, United Kingdom, right? Britain, let us say Britain, Britain, then Portugal, Netherlands, right? Portugal, Netherlands, etc. Why? Because the local indigenous population was reduced to such a low level that they were not in position, right? They were not in position to push the invaders back, right? Therefore, right, the European powers entered in that region, right? So it means they took it as an we can say opportunity, right? उन्होंने इसको opportunity के तौर पे दिया और उन्होंने जाकर के अमेरिका पे कब्जा करने की कोशिश की, right? So that is there. Is it clear up to this point, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
सर ये वही सेम टाइम है ना सर जब इंग्लैंड में सर चर्च और जो नए लोग थे मतलब जो नए वाले लोग थे जिन पे जो चर्च पे सवाल उठा रहे थे उनके बीच में लड़ाई हो गई थी तो वो लोग वहां पे जाने लग गए थे कनाडा और कुछ लोग अमेरिका जाने लग गए थे
यस बेटा वैसे ही टाइम है ये।
ओके सर ओके
16th सेंचुरी के आसपास का टाइम है ये, राइट? सो द नेक्स्ट थिंग इज दैट the next thing is we can say that is the Great Plague of London. Great Plague of London, we can say, right? Great Plague of London. So as far as this is concerned, Great Plague of London is concerned, right? So this happened so we can say occurred you can say occurred around 1665 to 66. This was the period when this problem occurred here, right? So it was the major outbreak of it was the last major outbreak of the Black Death. Outbreak of the Black Death, which happened earlier, right? So it caused a mass exodus. Exodus means emigration. People left the country and started moving away, right? Mass exodus from London, led by King Charles, led by King Charles II, right? So it killed the disease killed about 15% of London's population. 15% of London's population. So such a huge loss to the population of London, right, happened there. So the next is
this particular plague was the same which served as a boon for the science sir इसी समय पर सर न्यूटन को छुट्टियां मिली थी और सर तभी जाके सर न्यूटन ने सर वो ग्रेविटेशन लॉ यूनिवर्सल लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन बनाया था
okay.
सर उनकी बायोग्राफी में लिखा हुआ होता है कि 1665 में जब प्लेग चल रहा था तभी इसी वजह से वो यूनिवर्सल लॉ ऑफ ग्रेविटेशन आया पाया था।
हाँ, सो आप देखो बेटा किसी के लिए प्रॉब्लम और किसी के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी, सो ये होता है। So the next thing is that you can see a great plague of Marseille. Right, Marseille. So Marseille is in France, right? So this is the plague of that region of France, right? So this is the so this problem occurred this problem occurred in 1720 to 23. 1720 to 23, right? It happened at right Marseille in France, right? Marseille, France, right? Actually, वहाँ पर कोई ship आया था, and that ship was quarantined at the port. But still, you can say the fleas, etc., from that ship, they brought the disease to the city, right? So 30% of the population of the city was perhaps perished. 30% of the population of the city was perhaps perished. It was perhaps perished. So this was the severity of this disease, right? So then, is it okay? So then there happens better, you can say Russian plague, right? Then there happened this Russian plague, right? So as far as this we can say Russian plague is concerned, right? So this plague, as the name suggested, affected Russia, right? Affected Russia, and the problem occurred around 1770 to 72 AD. So this was the time of occurrence of this problem, right? About 1 lakh individuals were killed in this. This is the next point, right? And terror of quarantined citizens. Erupted into violence. Right? Erupted into violence, right? Riots spread, and even we can say, right? So Archbishop of a church, right, who was appealing people, not to gather for prayer, right, was killed by the mob. So sometimes ऐसा हो जाता है. So ये रशियन प्लेग के बारे में था, this time पे occur हुई, right? So next is next to Russian plague. There is, we can say, right, Philadelphia yellow fever epidemic, right? The text is Philadelphia yellow fever epidemic. Yellow fever epidemic. So this is the next epidemic, we can say, the next major disease. right? Philadelphia yellow fever epidemic. So this occurred in 1793 AD, right? So this was there was the spread of yellow fever in the region. Spread of yellow fever was there, right? So American officials believed that we can say black people believed the black people were immune, and therefore they, right, we can say recruited people of African origin, to nurse the sick ones, right? To nurse the sick ones को उन्होंने hire किए, right? So the disease is today also carried by mosquitoes. We all know, carried by mosquitoes, right? So yellow fever, a little bit about this, right? So हम यहाँ लिखेंगे कि this yellow fever is, right? So yellow fever is caused by virus, which is we can say endemic to Africa, right? Africa, Central and South America. Central and South America also in regions में ज़्यादा है. Central and South America also, right? So the next is it is spread by right, we can say Aedes, 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 and we can say, right, and Haemobogus, right, GUS, and Haemobogus mosquito species. ये species हैं जो इनको particularly spread करती हैं, right? It is caused by virus of we can say, right, flavivirus, FLAVIVIRUS, right? Flavivirus genus. So these lines are important from the examination point of view, that yellow fever, right, is caused by mosquitoes, right? Mosquitoes. The mosquito species which cause yellow fever are Aedes and we can say Haemobogus, right? These are the mosquito species, and right, virus of flavivirus genus cause this. So ये आपके लिए examination के लिए important है, right? किसी भी examination में ये पूछ सकते हैं, so that is fine, right? And the next thing is that is, we can say, there is the flu pandemic. After this, there is the flu pandemic, FLU, right? Flu pandemic, right? Flu pandemic. So as far as this flu pandemic is concerned occurred in 1889-90. This was the time of occurrence of this problem, right? Supplied from Russia, and caused by influenza virus. So it was caused by that, killed about 1 million people, right? Killed about 1 million people. Killed about 1 million people. So this was the, you can say, severity of this problem. Killed about 1 million people. Is it okay? So now the next is, right, I am moving forward. So the next is a flu pandemic. After that, the next is, we can say, American polio epidemic. American polio epidemic. So that is there. Right. So as far as this American polio epidemic is concerned, right? So as far as this American polio epidemic is concerned, it occurred in 1916 in America, right? So it affected children mainly, right? Affected children mainly, killed many, and left the survivors, right? Killed many and left the survivors with permanent disabilities. आपको मालूम है पोलियो में हो जाती है permanent disabilities, right? So that was there, right? So we can say, right? So this polio epidemic, we can say, right? So polio epidemic, the polio disease, right, occurred. Polio disease occurred, we can say, sporadically, right? Sporadically, we can say, sporadically in US until the Salk, SALK, right? Until the Salk vaccine was developed in 1954, right? In 1954, right? So we can say polio is caused by a virus named as named as we can say polio, क्या नाम है? Poliomyelitis, right? MYLITIS, right? Poliomyelitis is the name of the virus which causes polio. Okay, so here in this discussion, what is important for you? Polio vaccine, Salk vaccine. It was developed in 1954, right? So, okay, so polio first started from America, we can say, right? And the virus which caused polio, that virus is known as the poliomyelitis, right? So these are the important things. Okay, so this is the, is it okay? So now Right, beta, are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
कोई बोर तो नहीं हो रहा?
No, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
So next is a Spanish flu. Right, next comes the Spanish flu. So Spanish flu is very infamous disease, right? You know, right? It was very, you can say, painful episode in the human history, right? So occurred in 1918, 20, right? 1918, 20. So 500 million people worldwide fell victim to the disease. Approximately, right, 100 million people were killed by the disease, were killed by it, right? Approximately 100 million people were killed by it, right? So, interestingly, though it is named Spanish flu, but it we can say did not start from Spain. It did not start from Spain, right? From Spain. So why it has been given the name Spanish flu? This is an interesting fact, right? Why the disease has been given the name, Spanish flu, right? Spanish flu. So this is a question. क्यों ये नाम दिया गया? This is a question, right? So it was because Spain remained neutral in World War I, right? It was because Spain remained neutral in World War I, right? So the press in Spain, right? So the press in Spain, right? We can say press in Spain was not censored. Was not censored. Right? It was free to publish news. Right? It was free to publish news. Right? And the Spanish media, right, published the news related to this flu, and hence the disease got the name Spanish flu. Right? Hence the disease got the name Spanish flu. Right? Spanish flu. Right? So this is the okay. So that is why this is called the Spanish flu. So this is the. Is it clear up to this point, beta?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So the next thing is, beta, the Spanish flu was caused by, right? So Spanish flu was caused by H1N1 virus, right? H1N1 virus, right? With the genes of we can say, right, avian origin, Avian origin means spread by the birds, right? Coming from the birds, sorry. Avian origin coming from the birds, right? So this is there. So the next is after Spanish flu, the next is we can say that is Asian flu, right? Asian flu. This is the next Asian flu. So as far as the Asian flu is concerned, it occurred in 1957, 58, right? Occurred in 1957, 58, right? Started from China. Right? From China. And the disease claimed more than 1 million, right? More than 1 million lives. 1 million lives, right? So was caused by a blend of avian flu, we can say avian flu viruses, right? Avian flu viruses. So ये था avian flu के बारे में, right? So next, let us move further. As far as this next is concerned, we can say, right? So this is the AIDS. AIDS is another major disease. You all know about this, right? So as far as the AIDS is concerned, AIDS का full form क्या है भी?
Acquired immune deficiency syndrome.
Yes. So इसमें हमारी जो immunity कम हो जाती है, that is there, right? So from 19, you can say started from, let me write it like this, started from 1981 and is occurring till date, right? And is occurring till date. This is one thing. Occurring till date, right? The first HIV, right? Positive case. The first HIV positive case, right, was detected in a blood sample, right? In a blood sample, we can say collected in 1959, right, from a man in Kinshasa. From a man in Kinshasa in Democratic Republic of Congo. Right, means this is an African country, right? So वहाँ से हमें इसका पहला केस नोटिस हुआ था कॉन्गो से, right? So किसी पर्सन में ये पाया गया था, right? So next beta, let us discuss two important questions, right? As far as this AIDS is concerned, right? So questions can be asked. So the question is red ribbon. Have you heard about red ribbon? Yes,
sir.
Yes, sir.
Is an internationally recognized, right? Is an internationally recognized symbol used for AIDS awareness, right? Used for AIDS awareness, right? AIDS awareness. So what does it signify? what does it signify? So this is our question, right? What does it signify? So first statement is, we can say the disease has, ऐसे क्वेश्चन आ सकते हैं ना बेटा कि नहीं?
हाँ जी, हाँ कुछ भी आ सकता है सर, उससे तो
नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं, कुछ भी नहीं, because these are very common
हाँ
things.
जी, नहीं मीन्स के सर
The disease has connection with blood. So one thing is that, right? So second thing is that individuals need to be passionate towards HIV infected people, right? Towards HIV infected people or individuals, which we कह सकते हो आप, right? HIV infected people. And third statement is it challenges the stigma and prejudice surrounding AIDS, right? So जब कोई AIDS का केस आता है तो हमें डर लगता है, हम उसके पास नहीं जाते, right? So sometimes हम उनको थोड़ा isolate कर देते हैं, right? Right, seclude कर देते हैं. Next, it is a we can say symbol, right? It is a symbol to caution people, right? To caution people about the high scale, right? High scale life risk for HIV infection, right? From HIV infection. So these are the 4 statements which I have given written, right? So now codes, let us see what will be the correct answer. First code is 1 only, and we can say second code is, let's suppose that is 4 only, right? And the third code, let's suppose that is 1, 2, and 3 only. 1, 2, and 3 only, right? And the next code is 1, 2, 3, and 4. What is the probable answer according to you? अच्छा बेटा आप मुझे पहले एक बात बताओ बेटा, आपने रेड रिबन देखा है?
यस सर.
यस सर.
ओके, सो बेटा रेड
सर ਉਹ ਕ੍ਰਾਸ ਜਿਹਾ ਕਰਕੇ ਲਾਉਂਦੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਜੇਬਾਂ ਤੇ 1 ਦਸੰबर ਨੂੰ. ਹਾਂਜੀ
यस. तो बेटा रेड रिबन को देख के बेटा आपके कभी माइंड में आया कि ये क्यों है, इसका पर्पस क्या है, इसके पीछे कारण क्या है?
सर ये पढ़ा था मैंने तो सर कि HIV एड्स के लिए अवेयरनेस फैलाने के लिए, और जो लोग मर चुके हैं और या जो लोग इस डिसीज से सफर कर रहे हैं सर उनके लिए मतलब कि उनके साथ है हम लोग, इसके लिए हैं सर. ये पढ़ा था सर मैंने तो सर. IPL में बताया था एक बार.
किसमें?
IPL में बताया था सर. IPL में सर जो क्रिकेटर्स होते हैं सर वो पहन के आते हैं ना सारे क्रिकेटर्स.
यस. सो बेटा आपके माइंड में कभी आया ये, परमजीत कभी आया, सिमरन कभी आया माइंड में कि ये क्यों है?
सर ਉਹ ਮੈਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਨਾ ਬਲੱਡ ਡੋਨੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੁਸਾਇਟੀ ਨਾਲ ਕੰਮ ਕਰਦੀ ਸੀ.
ਓਕੇ.
ਉਹ ਏਡਸ ਦਾ ਵੀ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਮਤਲਬ ਅਵੇਅਰਨੈਸ ਸਪਰੈਡ.
ਹਾਂ.
ਉੱਥੇ ਸਰ ਇਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਰੈਡ ਰਿਬਨਸ ਜੁਆਇਨ ਕਰਕੇ ਨਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਇੱਕ ਟੀਮ ਬਣਾਈ ਹੋਈ ਸੀਗੀ.
ਓਕੇ.
ਲਾਈਕ ਜਿਵੇਂ ਸੈਕਿੰਡ ਪੁਆਇੰਟ ਉਸ ਨੂੰ ਡਿਪਿਕਟ ਕਰਦਾ ਹੈ, ਇੰਡੀਵਿਜੂਅਲਸ ਨੀਡਸ ਟੂ ਬੀ ਪੈਸ਼ਨੇਟ ਟੁਵਰਡਸ HIV ਇਨਫੈਕਟਡ ਪੀਪਲ.
Okay. So beta, as far as this is concerned, right? So the answer to this question is first thing, the disease has connection with blood. This is the one reason, right? Because because this campaign was started from New York, right? So there this symbol was developed. So second is individuals need to be passionate towards HIV infected people. Yes, it is true, right? So, and third is it challenges the stigma and prejudice surrounding AIDS people. Yes, right? So this is there. And the fourth is not, fourth is wrong, right? So the correct answer is 1, 2, 3, right? 1, 2, 3. So this is the, right? So this is the question. So such type of questions can be asked, right? So the next question which I am taking here, that is select the correct statements. Select the correct statements about HIV/AIDS. Right, about HIV/AIDS. Select the correct statements. There is that, right? So the first statement which we take here, the first statement is SDG 3, means Sustainable Development Goal 3, right? 3 targets to end, we can say AIDS as a public, to end AIDS as a public health target, as a public health threat, sorry, as a public health threat by 2030. This is the one statement. So we need to see that whether the statement is correct or not, right? And now the next statement is, we can see 95 target, right? Target is WHO's, can say is WHO's, right? Fast track strategy, WHO's fast track strategy to eliminate AIDS, eliminate AIDS, right? So this is the next point, to eliminate AIDS, right? So now the next third statement is, we can say a red ribbon, right? And AIDS awareness campaign, right? AIDS awareness campaign, AIDS awareness campaign started from 1988, when the world observed the first World AIDS Day. First World AIDS Day. This is the next statement. And the next statement is there. AIDS is an epidemic, not pandemic. So these are the 4 statements before you, right? And here are the, we can say, codes given. Here are the codes, right? As far as the codes, code 1 is, right? So that is 1 and 4 only. 1 and 4 only. First is, and the B choices, we can say 3 and 4 only. 3 and 4 only, right? And the C choices we can say 1, 2, and 4 only. 1, 2, and 4 only. This is the C choice, right? And the next is the D choice is 1, 2, and 3 only. 1, 2, and 3 only, right? So this is the D choice. So which is the correct one? Tell me. Right? So these are very common problems, and the questions can be asked about these. Quite important things. Yes. Does anybody know?
सर मेरा आंसर तो सर डी है.
D.
मेरा भी D. D आंसर है.
Okay, beta. Okay. Beta, the correct answer to this question is A. Right? So, first thing, this is correct. The first statement is correct. As far as the second statement is concerned, 95, 95, 95 target is WHO's fast track strategy. So, इसमें बेटा ये WHO रॉक है. This is the strategy of UNAIDS. Right? So, this is the strategy of whose? UNAIDS की strategy है. This is not the strategy of WHO. Right? So, bear this in mind. Right? पहले बेटा इनकी strategy थी 90-90-90. Right? For 2020. Right? So, अब इनकी strategy है 95-95-95 for 2030. Okay? So, ध्यान में रखना है. And the next thing is beta, a red ribbon and AIDS awareness campaign started from 1988. This is wrong, right? So, no doubt that the first World AIDS Day was observed in 1988. There is no doubt. But the Red Ribbon campaign started in 1991 from New York. Right? It started in 1991 from New York. Right? And fourth, AIDS is an epidemic, not pandemic. Yes, it is true, because WHO has never classified it as a pandemic disease, right? It is, you can say, endemic, and WHO always address it by writing endemic with it, right? They never use the term pandemic with AIDS, right? So AIDS is an endemic, not pandemic. So be it in mind, right? So this was an important question for you. I think this question has given you some new information about this, right?
Of course, sir. कुछ डाउट सीगे जिस तरह 95 वाला ना 90 दिमाग से पहला.
Okay. Okay, right. So now the next thing is that, right? So the next is, we can say, that is the that is, I think, swine flu is there, right? H1N1 swine flu pandemic, right? H1N1 swine flu pandemic, this is there, right? So this is there. So as far as this H1N1 swine flu pandemic is concerned, this pandemic, you can say, happened in the year, occurred in the year around, you can say, in 21st century, we can say, right? So that is around 2009-10. So occurred in 2009-10. Right, so this was the period when it occurred, right? So originated in Mexico in 2009, right? 2009 में इसका origin Mexico से हुआ in 2009. The virus affected about, you can say, 1.4 billion people around the world. 1.4 billion people around the world, right? And kill about 5 lakh people. Killed about 5 lakh people. Killed about 5 lakh people. So this is the, right? This is about the swine flu. It was a pandemic. It was caused by H1N1 virus. Right? So the next important thing is that is the West African Ebola pandemic. Right? West African Ebola pandemic. So West African Ebola pandemic. Right? So that is there. So this problem of West African Ebola pandemic, right? So this started from West Africa. So this means this problem started from West Africa, right? So now here is it occurred in 2014-16. This was the time when it occurred, right? Started from you can say Quedi in 2013, right? In 2013, right? From there it spread to other regions, right? It spread to other regions, we can say. That's there, that's all, right? So next thing is Zika virus epidemic, right? Next is Zika virus epidemic. Zika virus epidemic. So this is of the recent thing. This is very recent thing. I think all of you must have heard about the Zika virus. सभी ने सुना होगा. Yes. So beta इससे पहले let us discuss a question, right? So select the correct statement or statements, right? So this is our question. Number 1. Zika virus disease affects children mostly. So this is the first statement. So second statement that we take, that is Zika virus is spread by, right? Is spread by, we can say, mosquitoes of right? Aedes genus, right? That is there. And third statement is H1N1 swine flu. H1N1 swine flu. Swine flu which occurred in 21st century. Right? Started from China. So this is the next statement, right? And the fourth statement, let us state, that is, we can say, India aims to achieve 90 target of AIDS elimination by 2022, right? By 2022. So this is the another statement which is given. Now codes, let us take the codes, right? So first is, you can say 1 and 3 only. 1 and 3 only. And the second is, let's suppose 1 and 3 only. Second is 2 and 3 only. Right? 2 and 3 only. Right? Let's suppose this is there. Right? And you can say the fourth statement is, third statement, third option. Let's suppose this is 2 only. Right? This is 2 only. Here it is. Right? And the fourth case is, right? So let's suppose the fourth case is there. We can say 1, 2, and 4 only. 1, 2, and 4. So guess beta which one is correct.
Two only, I think so.
Sir, I'm not sure, but by elimination, I guess C or D.
Okay, C or D.
C also. C.
Okay, okay. Why not 1?
सर उसमें 3 आ गया सर, पहले में तो 3 आ गया और सर बी वाले में भी 3 है.
Okay, okay, right. So beta 1 is wrong because it affects the infants, or you can say fetus in the womb of the mother, right? Right, and the child, you can say, takes birth with some birth defects, right? In this case, that is there. So Zika virus is spread by mosquitoes. It is true. It is spread by mosquito. Third is wrong, right? As I have told you that it started from Mexico, right? And the fourth is India aims to achieve 90 targets by 2020, not by 2022.
On this 2020.
Right, so by 2020. So that is why only 2 is correct statement. Right? Only 2 is correct statement. Okay. So beta now let us talk little about this Zika virus epidemic. Right, so it occurred in 2015 and is still continue, right? Still continue the problem, right? So South America and you can say South America and Central America. South America and Central America are major impact areas. Are major impact areas of this problem, right? Are major impact areas. And the next is it can be right. It can be, we can say, sexually transmitted from one person to another, right? In humans, we can say. And the next is it is spread through mosquito of Aedes genes also. It is spread through mosquito of Aedes genes also. Genus also, so that is there, right? So it is not harmful. It is not harmful for adults also or children. For adults or children, right? So it can attack infants, right? It can attack infants who are still in womb, were still in form and cause birth defects. Right? So this is important thing which you should remember for your examination purpose. Right? So this is done. So the next is so this was about the various epidemics, right? This was about the various epidemics so far. So now the next thing is, I'm giving you one more question, right? So question is that NCOV, novel coronavirus, right, can be spread through, right, can be spread through. I'm giving the one statement, right, that is you can say respiratory droplets. Respiratory droplets. This is the one statement. The second statement is airborne transmission. The third, you can say point is that is the, you can say fecal transmission. And the fourth is, we can say, that is the blood transfusion. Blood transfusion code sign. The first code is one only, right? One only. And the second code here is, that is 1 and 2 only. And the third code here is 1, 2 and 4 only. 1, 2 and 4 only. And the fourth code is that is 1, 2, 3 and 4. Is the correct answer? Tell me.
Sir, B.
Which D?
No, sir. B for Bombay.
Okay, B for Bombay. Okay. Anybody else?
Sir, all मेरे हिसाब से तो.
Okay, all. Okay. Anybody else? Paramjeet?
B, 1 and 2.
Okay. Gursimran?
C.
Chetna? Okay. So beta, the correct answer is this B, right? So respiratory droplets, you all know it is transmitted through the respiratory droplets. Airborne transmission is there. Fecal transmission, so far there is no evidence, right? Out of the various samples which have been tested by the, you can say WHO, right? All over the world, only one case has so far been noticed, right? Where the existence of this virus was in the fecal matter also, right? So otherwise it has not been noticed, right? So that is why from the one case you cannot establish it that it is transmitted through that fecal transmission is a mode of transmission of this disease. And next is blood transfusion, beta. As far as the blood transfusion is concerned, beta, theoretically, it seems that it may, you can say, transmit right through the blood transfusion. It may, the problem may move from one person to another, right? But practically, it has not yet been noticed, right? So beta, seeing the theoretical possibility only, right? WHO and the government of India, you can say Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, has also issued guidelines, right, regarding the you can say blood transfusion, blood donation, etc., right? So according to the ministry, right, so a corona affected person, right, cannot donate his or her blood, we can say, right, his or her blood, you can say after within 20 days, right, from the problem, right? So sorry, 28 days. So usko 28 days के लिए wait करना होगा. On the expiry of 28 days only, the blood of that person can be taken. He can donate blood, right? So that is why the guidelines are there. But so far, it is only theoretically, right? The possibility seems there, but in practice, no such case has been noticed. So that is why, right? So, so far, it is not spread through the blood transfusion. Okay, so this is wrong. This is wrong, right? So these two are correct. This is correct, you can see, and this is correct. Okay, so 1 and 2 is the correct answer. So samjhai sabhi ko, it's okay, beta. Are you getting it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so beta, this was a very important question for you, right? Question was simple, but you can mistake, right? You can do mistake, commit mistake there, right? So it is not sexually transmitted even, but yes, matlab, yes, through the kiss, etc., or through the oral sex, it can be transmitted, right? So the next thing is epidemic, right? Epidemic Diseases Act, right? Epidemic Diseases Act 1897. So this is important topic. Epidemic Diseases Act 1897. So as far as this Epidemic Diseases Act is concerned, here the first important thing is, you can say, the purpose of this act. Purpose. So what is the purpose of this act? So as far as the purpose of this act is concerned, right, the purpose is to, right, its purpose, that is to provide for better management, to provide for we can say better management of the epidemic, of a disease, right, of a disease, right, of a, we can say, dangerous disease, right? Dangerous or deadly disease, right? It is better to provide it, of a dangerous disease, right? So as to prevent it, so as to prevent its spread, right? So as to prevent its spread. किसी एपिडेमिक का या किसी डेंजरस डिसीज का स्प्रेड ना हो सके, उसको कंट्रोल करने के लिए उसको कैसे मैनेज करना है, उससे रिलेटेड प्रोविजन है इस एक्ट के अंदर. ओके, सो दिस इज द फर्स्ट पॉइंट, राइट? एंड द सेकंड important point here is about the act. कुछ बातें एक्ट के बारे में, about the act, right? So this is a very small act, right? You should know it. So as far as about the act is concerned, we can say, right, about the act. The act has only 4 sections. First thing, right? The act has only 4 sections. और छोटा एक्ट है, उसमें 4 sections ही है बस, hardly 2 pages का है, right? So this is there, right? So it was enacted to tackle, right, bubonic plague, right, in Mumbai. At that time it was called Bombay, bubonic plague in Mumbai, right? So it empowers both center and state governments, right, both center and state governments to take adequate steps right, adequate steps to control the spread of we can say, right, a fast spread of a fast spreading dangerous disease. So उसको रोकने के लिए है fast spreading dangerous disease, right? So the next thing is you can see it extends over whole of India. You can say it so it extends over whole of India, right? It extends over whole of India. पूरे भारत में applicable है. Over whole of India, right? So the next important point which is here that we can say, right? So enforcement of Epidemic Diseases Act. Epidemic Diseases Act is within the jurisdiction of a state, within the jurisdiction of a state government, right? Within the jurisdiction of the state government, right? So the next thing is, it has been earlier, it has been invoked earlier also, right, on various occasions, right, on various occasions, right, when it was, you can say, right, let us try to tackle diseases like, right, to tackle diseases like, we can say, swine flu. Diseases like swine flu, this is one, right, swine flu, and dengue and cholera, etc. Right? So इन diseases को control करने के लिए ये पहले हुआ था, cholera, etc. Right? So the next is, you can say, instances of invocation of the act. Instances of invocation of the act. ये act कब कहीं पर इसको invoke किया गया. So this is the right main point, right? So there is that you can say first, right? So it was invoked in 2009. Invoked in 2009, right? Invoked in Pune. Invoked in Pune to combat the outbreak of swine flu, right? This time swine flu, this is there. And after that, in 2015 also, right? 15 also invoked in Chandigarh, right? Chandigarh, to deal with dengue malaria, right? Dengue malaria. And the next thing is 2018, right? Was invoked in a village in Gujarat. Invoked in a village in Gujarat to prevent the spread of cholera. So it means इसको कभी भी जब जरूरत हो इसको आप इन्वोक कर सकते हो. And now in 2020, in the wake of this COVID-19, right, it has been invoked throughout the country, right, in various states, you can say, it has been invoked. Okay, so this is the, so next is, you can say about some important provisions of the Act, right. So first of all, we will talk about Section 2 of the Act, right, Section 2. So as far as this Section 2 of this Act is concerned, right, so according to Section 2, you can say Section 2 empowers, right, so it empowers, right, the central and state governments, the central and state governments to deal with, right, to deal with an epidemic. So this is the first thing, to deal with an epidemic, right. So next thing is it empowers, right, it empowers, you can say the state government, it empowers the state government to you can say take, right, to take special measures, take special measures, take special measures and formulate regulations to contain the outbreak, right. किसी चीज की आउटब्रेक को रोकने के लिए गवर्नमेंट के पास पावर है, तो वो ऐसे रेगुलेशंस या कोई स्पेशल मेजर ले सकती है. जैसे लॉकडाउन है, ये इस डिसीज को स्प्रेड होने से रोकने के लिए, राइट. सो दिस इज द स्टेट में प्रेस्क्राइब regulations. Next is the state may prescribe regulations, right, regulations for inspection of persons traveling, right, persons traveling by railway or otherwise, by railway or otherwise, right, and the segregation in and the segregation in we can say hospital, segregation in hospital, right, temporary accommodation of persons, right, of persons suspected, right, suspected by the inspecting officers, right, suspected by the inspecting officers to be infected, right. So ये कहता है, पहली बात तो कि ये स्टेट को कुछ स्पेशल मेजर्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बनाने के लिए पावर देता है. दूसरी बात है कि ये स्टेट को ऑथोराइज करता है कि स्टेट यू कैन से इंस्पेक्शन से रिलेटेड कोई रेगुलेशन बना सकती है. जो पर्सन ट्रैवल करते हैं उनकी इंस्पेक्शन करने के लिए कुछ गाइडलाइंस, कुछ रेगुलेशंस बना सकती है, उसको जरूरी कर सकती है. हॉस्पिटल्स में ऐसे पेशेंट्स को सेग्रीगेट करने का किया जा सकता है, राइट, या फिर उनको टेम्परेरी अकोमोडेशंस में रखना है, राइट, जिन लोगों के ऊपर डाउट है कि शायद वो अफेक्टेड हैं, राइट. तो ये सब पावर्स एपिडेमिक एक्ट देता है, राइट. सो दिस वाज अबाउट सेक्शन 2, राइट. सो द नेक्स्ट इज we can say the next is about section 2A, right? So now there is section 2A, right? Section 2A. So as far as the section 2A is concerned, right? So we will write here that, right? Section 2A empowers the central government, right? It empowers the central government, right? It empowers the central government to, right? To, we can say, take steps to prevent the spread of disease. To take steps to prevent the spread of disease, right? To prevent the spread of disease, this is the, right? So the next important thing is here that we can say, though health is a state subject, though health is a state subject, we all know, right, is a state subject, but by invoking, right, by invoking, you can say, right, by invoking section, right, 2 of the Epidemic Act, right, by invoking section 2 of the Epidemic Act, you can say, right, section 2 of the Epidemic Act, advisories and directions, right, advisories and directions can be issued by the central government, right? Section 2, right? We can say advisories or right, directions can be issued by the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, Ministry of Health and Family Welfare, we can say, right, right, and those directions shall be, those directions shall be enforceable. It means सेंटर की डायरेक्शंस को भी आपको एनफोर्स करना पड़ेगा इस एक्ट के अकॉर्डिंग, राइट? इस एक्ट के अकॉर्डिंग. Is it clear up to this point, beta? So this is the section 2A.
Yes, sir.
Right? So the next thing is that it, we can say, is everybody there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. It allows the government to inspect, right, any ship arriving or leaving any port, and the power to detain any person, right, intending to sail or arriving in the country. So गवर्नमेंट किसी को कंट्री में आने के लिए भी मना कर सकती है ऐसी सिचुएशन में, राइट? ओके, और उसको डिटेन भी कर सकती है, राइट, क्वारंटाइन कर सकती है. ये सब पावर्स गवर्नमेंट के पास होती है. ये एक्ट इन पावर्स को देता है गवर्नमेंट को, राइट? सो दैट इज द, so this was about this. Next is section 3 of the act. Okay. So next is we can say section 3 of the act. Section 3 of the act. So beta, as far as this section 3 is concerned, it provides for penalty, right? Penalty for disobedience, right? Disobedience. तो एक्चुअली इस सेक्शन का ये मतलब है कि जब एपिडेमिक एक्ट जब इन्वोक हो जाता है उसके बाद ऑल प्रिवेंटिव मेजर्स लेने होते हैं सो दैट उस डिसीज के स्प्रेड को कंटेन किया जा सके या उसको रोका जा सके, जैसे अभी हम कोविड के दौर में देख रहे हैं, राइट? कुछ स्टेट्स में कर्फ्यू लगाना पड़ा, कुछ स्टेट्स में नाइट कर्फ्यू लगा, राइट? सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मैंडेटरी कर दी, कुछ स्टेट्स ने मास्क पहनने जरूरी कर दिए, राइट? वगैरह वगैरह, ऐसे बहुत सारे मेजर्स लिए गए, राइट? सो उसके लिए जो उसको एनफोर्स करने वाले हमारे पास मशीनरी होती है, जो ऑफिशियल्स होते हैं गवर्नमेंट के, एंड इवन जो लोग अफेक्टेड हैं उनकी केयर करने के लिए भी गवर्नमेंट के डॉक्टर्स हैं एंड अदर हेल्थ स्टाफ है जो वो होते हैं, राइट? सो इसका पर्पस ये है बेटा कि लोग हैं जो वो गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल्स की जो है उनकी बात को माने, उनके ऑर्डर को कंप्लाई करें, राइट? सो अगर कोई पर्सन उसको डिसोबे करता है तो उसके लिए इसके अंदर पेनल्टी का प्रोविजन है, राइट? क्योंकि ऐसे केस में जो हमारे ऑफिशियल्स हैं उनको लोगों को डायरेक्ट करना पड़ेगा, राइट? लोगों को रोकना पड़ेगा, राइट? और अगर कोई पर्सन उस टाइम पे डिसोबे करता है तो उसके लिए प्रोविजन है। सो बेटा यहाँ ये कहता है कि द पेनल्टी फॉर disobedience, right? So let me write it, right? So it provides for, you can say, penalties for, it provides for penalties for, we can say, disobeying, penalties for disobeying any regulation, right? Any regulation or order made, right? Any regulation or order made under the act, right? We can say this is there, right? So ये पेनल्टी की बात करता है अगर कोई इस एक्ट के अंदर किसी ऑर्डर को डिसोबे करता है, राइट? सो देन वी कैन से द पेनल्टी शैल बी, यस, अकॉर्डिंग टू, आपने पढ़ रखा ये है, according to section 188 of the IPC, right? So it shall, according to section 188 of the IPC, right? So जो section 4 है हमारा, right? जो हमारा section 4 है, right? So section 4 you can say provides protection to, right? Section 4 provides protection to, we can say, so
shoot and legal protection.
Yes, so it provides protection to implementing officers, right? It provides protection to, right? Protection to implementing officers, right? So this is there, provides protection to implementing officers. This is about the section 4 of this act, right? Implementing officers, right? So now let us further move to section 188 of the IPC, right? So as far as beta section 188 of IPC is concerned, so section 188 of IPC, right? So what does it say? So this is the right. So in this section 188 of the IPC, we can say, right? So disobeying, according to this, disobeying, right? A public servant is unlawful, and can be punished with, right? And can be punished with, right? We can say imprisonment, can be punished with imprisonment, right? Imprisonment. Kitni imprisonment? Of up to 1 month, right? Imprisonment of up to, we can say 1 month, right? Or fine of rupees 200, right? 200 or both, दोनों में से कोई एक या दोनों, right? So either or both, मैं यहाँ लिख देता हूँ, either or both of these, right? So ये होता है इसमें, ये हो गया, right? सजा का प्रावधान हो गया. So next to this सब थोड़ा सा रहेंगे. So next to this there is but if such disobedience, IPC का चल रहा है, but if such disobedience, right? If such disobedience causes or tends to cause danger to human lives, right? Danger to human lives, right? Health or safety, right? Health or safety, or cause, or we can say tends to cause a riot, right? Tends to cause a riot, right? Cause a riot, we can say, right? Tends to cause a riot, then punishment may go up. Then in that case, punishment may go up to, ऐसे केस में उसको punishment कितनी हो सकती है? The punishment has been enhanced, right? Up to, we can say, 6 months imprisonment. 6 months imprisonment, right? ये हो सकता है. और you can say जो fine है, right? Or fine up to rupees 1000, up to rupees 1000, और both, या दोनों चीजें भी हो सकती हैं, right? और either of the two, और दोनों भी हो सकती है. So ये इसमें है, right? So next important one, which is the last, you can say that again, right? Last. So that is the amendment, the right amendment to the Epidemic Act, right? Epidemic Act. So ये जो amendment हुई है बेटा, ये amendment recently की है, and this amendment was done through the ordinance, right? Ordinance issue करके इस act को amend किया है recently, right? So we can write it here. We can write it. So as far as the amendment is concerned, the act was amended through ordinance, right? The act was amended through ordinance. This is the first important point. Through ordinance, right? It provides that commission, right? Commission or abatement of violence mission or abatement of violence, we can say, against healthcare, against we can say healthcare, right? Against healthcare, you can say the service personnel, service personnel shall be against healthcare service personnel shall be punishable, with imprisonment, shall be punishable with imprisonment for a term of we can say 3 months to 5 years, right? For a term of 3 months to 5 years. So कितनी देर की उसको punishment हो सकती है, and or ये दोनों right? So we can say okay, and or right, a fine of rupees 50,000 to rupees 2 lakh. Fine of rupees 50,000 rupees 2 lakh. Right, so this can be there, right? In case, right, so this is that अगर आप violence करते हो, right, against the health staff, right? But the next is written that in case of causing grievous hurt, in case of causing, right, grievous hurt, right, grievous hurt, right, hurt, imprisonment shall be extended from 6 months, we can say 6 months to 7 years, and or fine has of rupees 1 lakh to 5 lakh, of rupees 1 lakh to 5 lakh. So this is a step to, right, protect the medical staff in such a type of epidemic, right? Because people usually don't follow the instructions, or people usually sometimes don't cooperate the health staff. They even try to abuse the health staff, right, sometimes. So this is there, right? So just 2-3 minutes work is there, right? Please bear with me. So the next thing is that SARC COVID-19 emergency fund was this is just to tell you, right? SARC COVID-19 emergency fund. Do you know it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good, beta. Beta, this SARC COVID-19 emergency fund was, you can say, created in the month of March 2020. So this fund was, okay, so this fund was created, right? This fund was created, right? Was created in the month of March 2020, right? 2020. It is based on voluntary contributions, right? Voluntary contributions from SARC members, उनकी voluntary contributions है, वहाँ कोई compulsory obligation नहीं है, right? India has we can say extended right? $10 million, $10 million, you can say, to the fund, right? So the next thing is that the fund has been created, right? The fund has been created, right, on the initiative by India's Prime Minister, So that was the right. So far, the contribution to the fund, if I would talk about the contribution to the fund, right? So far the contributions which have been there, right, are, we can say, like this, right? So Bhutan has contributed, you can say, over $1 lakh to this fund, $1 lakh, because ये voluntary है, इसलिए किसी को हम force नहीं कर सकते. Sri Lanka, you can say, right? So Sri Lanka has contributed, you can say, Sri Lanka has contributed $5 million, right? Means $50 lakh. And Afghanistan, right? Afghanistan has contributed $1 million to the fund. $1 million to the fund. This is Afghanistan's contribution. And then Bangladesh has contributed, right? Bangladesh has contributed, you can say, $1.5 million to the fund. 1.5 million to the fund. And Maldives has contributed we can say $2 lakh. $2 lakh. नेपाल, actually नेपाल ने अपनी करेंसी में contribute किया था. That is why when we convert it to dollars, it becomes approximately 8,31,393.45. So ये उनकी contribution है नेपाल की, right? And after that, to Pakistan है, it contributed 3 million, right? Contributed, we can say 3 million, but with some rider. Rider means with some condition. इसकी condition क्या थी? कि SAARC fund should be managed by the SAARC secretariat, which is in Kathmandu, right? So the condition of the Pakistan was that SAARC fund, right, should be managed by right, SAARC secretariat. Which is in Kathmandu, right? So this was the demand of the Pakistan. So this is basically the COVID-19 emergency fund, right? This COVID-19 emergency fund is not administered or managed by any central authority, right? Actually, this money is lying with all the countries, right? As India has paid, you can say $10 billion, it is lying with India, right? Sri Lanka has paid $5 million, it is lying with Sri Lanka. Pakistan has paid $3 million, it is lying with Pakistan, right? Now, what is there? Any country from the SAARC region may request other countries for the help, for the support, right? And then whatever type of support is required, whether in terms of medicine or in terms of health personnel or other, right? So that support will be provided, and the cost of that will be deducted by the respective country from this fund, which has been kept for the, you can say, this SAARC countries, right? So this is the way how you can say the fund is utilized and who manages the fund. The answer to that question, right? So is it clear, beta?
Yes, sir. Sir, पाकिस्तान को इंडिया से डर था क्या?
हैं? पाकिस्तान को और पाकिस्तान का कुछ अपना था, है ना? वो कहते कि चलो एक जगह पे हो, सेक्रेटेरिएट में हो फंड, और सेक्रेटेरिएट विल डिसाइड, है ना, कि हमने किसको क्या देना है। जैसे इंडिया ने जैसे इंडिया ने मतलब हाइड्रोक्लोक्सी मतलब वो जो है मतलब राइट हाइड्रोक्सी क्लोरोक्विन दी है अफगानिस्तान को, तो जो भी उसकी पेमेंट है तो वो हमने मतलब इस $10 बिलियन के फंड में से काट ली है, राइट? सो इट मीन्स ये किसी भी कंट्री को सपोर्ट मिल सकती है, इसमें ऐसा नहीं है कि हमने कुछ प्रोपोर्शनेटली देखना है या किसको कितनी सपोर्ट देनी है, नहीं. It is on the basis of the need, right? So is it clear, beta, up to this point?
Yes,
to
sir.
Everybody?
Sir,
Okay.
although sir, I have read that in the previous month, sir. Previous month, sir, explained section में आया था ये sir.
Okay. Okay.
ये एपिडेमिक एक्ट, लेकिन सर आपने सर जितना सारा बताया पीछे हिस्ट्री और सर सारे वो सर उसमें कुछ भी नहीं था ऐसा, तो सर बहुत सारी नई चीजें मिली।
बिल्कुल सर, तो सीधा ही एपिडेमिक एक्ट बस करके होता है।
अच्छा, तो बेटा ये आपने लेटेस्ट ये आपने बेटा रिसेंट अमेंडमेंट पढ़ ली थी ना?
जी सर, ये उसमें आई थी सर, अभी एक्सप्लेन्ड में आया था सर।
किस में आया था, हिंदू में?
नहीं सर, एक्सप्रेस में आता है सर, एक्सप्लेन।
ओके, एक्सप्लेन, ओके, राइट। सो राइट बेटा, ये जो बेटा चीजें थी ना उसमें, क्योंकि जो वो जो पास्ट वाला था वो चीजें बेटा उसमें से क्वेश्चन निकल सकता है कोई ना कोई ना, सो तभी हमने बात की थी उसकी, राइट? सो दैट इज व्हाई टुडे आई took this topic for discussion. So right, so anything else beta anybody wants to ask? Nothing? So is everybody still here? No, I think Chetna has left class.